Hi, I hope you're doing well. I just was thinking about someone that I have enjoyed in the past and who I miss. And so I decided to do this particular video on Karl Lagerfeld, who I really enjoyed watching his shows. He was a fashion designer and a photographer and a drawer. I loved his drawings. And he worked for both Chanel and Fendi. He had contracts with both, and they guaranteed that his salary between the two of them would not be less than $50 million. At the time of his death at age 85 in 2019, he was, let me see, worth about $300 million. So, very successful person financially, loved by everybody, very enjoyable, a character, and his fashion shows were very, very enjoyable. I mean, he would go all out, and I just love to follow him on the internet. He is of a German background, and he's been working in fashion since he was 22 years old, but he actually began working non-professionally since the age of 14 and even won some awards at that age for some of his works. He didn't have his own fashion line. He worked under Chanel and Fendi as the fashion designer, but he didn't use the Karl Lagerfeld name for his fashions. He used Chanel and Fendi. When you see him working, it's really interesting. He had so much respect, and the organization at these big fashion houses is very specific, but it's surprising how old those houses look. The people have to run up and down a lot of stairs. The rooms aren't that big, and the designers come and stay forever. They don't go from job to job. And if they do, they're considered to have kind of been unfaithful. So if you start with Chanel, you pick Chanel because you like Chanel, you trust Chanel, and then you're going to stay there for like 20 years or whatever and do all of the stuff for that design house. And it's really amazing to see the work that goes into making and creating these designs. And at the level that Karl Lagerfeld was working, it was even more spectacular to see, because at some of these fashion shows the designs really are not very wearable, but Karl's designs were always very wearable, very beautiful, and then of course his presentations were just fabulous. So as I said, he came to Paris at age 14 and started getting some practice in doing fashion. He worked with wool. He entered a design competition and won, and he won in the coat category, but he became friends with the person who was the winner of the dress category, and that person was Yves Saint Laurent. Karl later was hired as a junior assistant, and he worked for 3 years as an assistant. Then he took a job as the artistic director for Jean Patel in 1964. I'm sorry. He traveled to Rome to work for Tiziani and study art history. He then began designing freelance, and as I said, he ended up with Chanel and Fendi. Chanel and Fendi were both having problems. Chanel, after the death of Coco Chanel, Chanel was having some problems staying at its high level, and Fendi was also having some problems and needed to be revitalized. So they thought that Karl would be the perfect guy for this task, and he did just that. He had a collection of designs. He has a collection of cartoons, and he actually designed right up until his death. He died of pancreatic cancer. He had, in his life, he had one person that he was very close to, but that person was much younger than him, and he claimed they never had a sexual relationship. From there, he bonded with his cat, and he had his cat as his best friend for most of his life, and when he died, he left a lot of his estate to his cat. Now, of course, his cat couldn't take the estate, so there was an accountant who was put in charge of the money. But the accountant, shortly, and I'm talking about like a couple months after Karl's death, the accountant said he was ill, and he stopped taking calls from the beneficiaries and everyone else. So no one could get in touch with the accountant to get their money. So the cat was left without its money. They are selling some of Karl's things at auction, and so that will get rid of some of the valuables that he had. He has beautiful houses in Monaco and Paris and other places. He has great antique furniture with a bed that was said to have been used by Marie Antoinette, and so he was a very, very interesting guy, and he has a book collection of about 300,000 books. Naturally, huge number of them are fashion, and I guess all of that will go through auction houses. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to use all of that stuff. He liked to do fur work while he was alive, and of course he ran into problems with PETA. PETA said, well, you shouldn't be doing that, and Karl's feeling was, well, you have these hunters, they don't know how to do anything else but hunt, and so they go out and they kill animals, and we use their fur. And PETA said, well, no, you are out of touch. The fur industry doesn't work like that, and most of the animals' furs come from China, where they have these fur mills, and they raise the animals, and then they take the skins and they skin the animals, listen to this, alive. Oh, I didn't know that, but that's what they do. So they said from PETA, and I didn't read any retorts from Carl, but that's what they allege, that those animals are killed alive to make those fur coats. So, anyway, I do miss Carl. I used to enjoy his fashions. Many times a year he would put on these fashion shows, and no one has yet come up to his mark as to deliver such enjoyment and such great fashions. And I just wanted to say, you are missed by those of us who loved your work, and we think about you often, and I hope all is well. And to all of you watching, please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later. Bye.